Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the garage. Gerald here with you. We have another edition of what is quickly becoming the most popular series here on my channel, and that's where I rank the Oscar winners of the last 10 years. I'm going to tag all these chapters in this series below for you, but I've already ranked the best picture winners of the last 10 years. I've done all the acting, including lead actress, lead actor, supporting actress I just did a few weeks ago, and on this video, I'm going to be diving into the final above the line ranking of the last 10 years, the winners of the Best Supporting Actor Academy Award. Some of my channel members and regulars have asked if I'm going to continue this series, even though the top of the line categories are pretty much done at this point, and I will be doing so. The next one that you could expect in this series is the Best Animated Feature winners of the last 10 years, and then I'm going to dive into the technical categories, probably starting with some of my favorite categories like production design, cinematography, or maybe even visual effects. Before we get into today's ranking, if you want to skip ahead, there are timestamps below, but I want to talk to you about channel memberships real quick. If you want to join the channel for as little as $2 a month, you can help me keep this thing funded out here and keep putting out great content for you guys around movies and award season. You get all kinds of cool perks, including custom emotes, one of my face, yes, with the beard. You also get ones with Timothée Chalamet, Mikey Madison, the mom from Parasite. You also get a custom badge, and I'm going to do member-only live streams on a regular basis. The coolest of those is probably going to be when you can join me on a live stream to help me reorder and re-rank my Oscar predictions. You can be on the live stream and help me come up with those before they go live on the channel. If you're interested and you want to help me out, all you have to do is click join below, watch a little intro video, read the details, and then if you want to do it, and I will love you forever, which, truth be told, I already do. Let's get on with the countdown. And what I do on all of these ranking videos, if you've watched any of them in the past, you probably know this. If not, I'll just do a real quick, brief explanation, but you're going to get my 10 to 1. This is my personal preference. This is a very subjective thing. I mean, you might think one is your favorite, it might be my worst, or vice versa. When I get to the end of the commentary as to why I placed them where I did on the list, I will also tell you who I would have voted for that year in the category of Best Supporting Actor. I'll put a shot of the nominees on the screen for you, and I'll let you know who would have gotten my vote if it did not line up with the winner. Getting things started at my number 10 is going to be Mark Rylance from the 2016 Oscars for his turn in Bridge of Spies. This is a film directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Mr. Tom Hanks, which has become a bit of a subgenre in and of itself. And Mark Rylance plays a very quiet, devastating character who is a Soviet KGB spy, and he gets discovered by the FBI and eventually captured. The film has a bit of a twist, though, when he's kind of portrayed not villainous in any way whatsoever, but more of a sympathetic character that you kind of feel for, even though he's the supposed enemy in the film. I love the approach that Rylance gave. This is just a film that I have not seen in nearly 10 years. I haven't seen it since it came out. And I remember as a project being somewhat underwhelmed by the film in terms of a Hanks-Spielberg collaboration. It's not a bad movie, and I know a lot of people love this film. It was obviously very successful at the Academy Awards that year in terms of accolades, nominations, etc. But when it comes to like memorable movies, there's a lot more on this list that I remember a lot more vividly. And looking at the nominees from the 2016 Oscars, Mark Rylance, obviously the winner, this was kind of a softer group for me personally. But there's a soft spot for me, and I would probably have cast my vote for Sylvester Stallone for Creed. I love the full circle story of that, from Rocky to Creed, and then getting the Oscar nomination as that legacy character. I freaking love that. I would have given it to Sly. My number 9 is the first of two from Mr. Mahershala Ali, and this one is from Green Book. You know, this is another one where the film really brings down the performance for me. Ali is a genius. He got this award twice in the past decade. His other performance, obviously, I rank a little bit higher on this list, and you'll find out when we get there. But in terms of Green Book, this is the typical white man saves the black man, white savior, right? So the story is phenomenally outdated, and the Oscars love to lift up those stories when they come along, whether you're talking about this one or Driving Miss Daisy. You can insert any number of ones, especially in the like 70s, 80s, and 90s, before they finally started to realize, okay, this is a little outdated and we're just trying to be the cool ally. But then come along in 2018 with the 2019 Oscars, and they do it again with Green Book. With that being said, Mahershala Ali is a brilliant actor who turns in a just phenomenally powerful performance in this movie. It's not his best performance, as you can see. I'm only ranking it here at number 9, but the movie and how it has not aged well, and frankly how I didn't really like the film, even though I like Ali's performance. It brings it down in my ranking. And looking at those nominees there on the screen from the 2019 Oscars, I would not have voted for Ali. Like I said, the movie brought it down for me. So I would have probably given my vote here to Sam Elliott for A Star Is Born. I love that movie, so that could be blurring my pick here a little bit because I'm a little biased. I think A Star Is Born should have gotten a lot more this particular award season. And the scene of him backing out of the damn driveway, give me a break. My number 8 may be a bit controversial in where I'm putting it on the list. And again, it's not that I dislike this performance. In fact, I like all 10 of these, if I'm being honest with you, which has not happened on all of these rankings. But it's the most recent winner, currently holding the statue for our Best Supporting Actor, and that's Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain. Look, everybody loved him. He swept all season. This season just ended, so it's fresh in everybody's memory. I don't need to spend a ton of time on the commentary for this, especially if you follow my channel this past award season. I knew he was going to win. I predicted him months before it actually happened, which a lot of people did because it was pretty obvious as he was cleaning up in the critic circles and on the major award circuit, the televised awards. I know him from other things, and I knew him from Succession, which is a much more animated, energetic performance. In A Real Pain, I felt like he was playing a bit of a version of that, but also kind of a version of himself, which I know is an argument that's been made, and how it's not easy to play yourself, and I actually agree with that argument. It just didn't speak to me when I saw it. It just didn't hit me. And I think I was at a disadvantage because I did see this movie, even though it was at an early screening. I saw it after a ton of people had been lauding his performance and screaming from the rooftops that it was going to win an Oscar, which of course they were right, as it did. It just didn't hit with me on that level. Part of it could have been the hype and not living up to it. It is a very admirable performance. It's just not one of my favorites, as it falls here at my number 8. Obviously, our most recent Oscars here from 2025. This was a weird category for me too. Like I said, Kieran Culkin would not have gotten my vote just because I felt like it wasn't enough, honestly. But for me, Guy Pearce, this might be controversial as well, but I think Guy Pearce was the best performance in The Brutalist, and that means even over certain people that won. Sorry, Guy Pearce would have gotten my vote here. My number 7 is going to be Mr. Sam Rockwell for his turn in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Now, it should be said in my ranking here, I'm presuming, and I actually believe, that Sam Rockwell is not actually a racist. And I definitely know he's not a racist police officer. So in this film, that's what he plays. And in judging performance, this was a phenomenal turn as a racist police officer in a small town in Missouri. Now, not that that should be lifted up necessarily, but if you're looking at the craft of acting, he really turns that kind of somewhat sympathetic officer to a villainous, just despicable guy, and then kind of back to neutral viewpoint that you have as the audience on his character. So it is a ton of levels in the arc to this character and ultimately into the performance and portrayal that we get from Sam Rockwell. It should also be noted that I love Sam Rockwell as an actor, and he's always so charismatic. Even in that film Argyle that came out, I think last year, which was on my worst of the year list, I freaking loved him in that thing. Anytime he talks, he just has such charm and charisma, and he always just makes me kind of happy on screen. All right, and looking at the nominees from the 2018 Oscars, there's a lot that I really like in this category, namely Willem Dafoe, Woody Harrelson I thought was great in 3 Billboards along with Rockwell. Honestly, I'm probably going to have to stick with Sam Rockwell. Like I said, I thought the performance of him playing such against type, or at least I'm hopefully assuming that, was tremendous, and he would also get my vote. I line up a lot with these 10 actually with the Academy, which I found surprising because that hasn't really happened on any of these rankings. My number 6 is from the 2022 Oscars, and that's Troy Kotsur in the film Coda. Not the first deaf actor to win the Academy Award. It was the first male deaf actor to win the award, at least I think so. But I didn't really remember the Marlee Matlin win, which would have been the first one for Children of a Lesser God in the 80s. I believe it was like 85 or 86. I didn't really start following the Oscars until like 92 or 93. So I don't remember that. I didn't live through that. I mean, I obviously know it happened, but I didn't experience it in real time. The Troy Kotsur one was powerful. I don't have any deaf people in my life really close to me, but this was coming at the end of the COVID era. My daughter was in college at the same time that Ruby is in music school or going to music school in Coda. And the relationship between the daughter and the father and being able to connect to that, not because of the deaf aspect or the hearing impairment, I thought was a feat because I was able to connect to it and there was nothing different or strange about it for me personally. It was just a beautiful father-daughter story. And to date, it's really one of the more kind of under-the-radar performances that ended up winning the Academy Award, and I'm glad he did. As you see in looking at the nominees from that Academy Awards ceremony, I would also go with Troy Kotsur for my vote for Coda. I would also really lean pretty closely and pretty heavily to Cody Smith-McPhee in The Power of the Dog. That was, talk about a heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, kind of quiet performance. That's what we got from Smith-McPhee in that role. But for me, it would have to go to Troy Kotsur, just like the Academy. My number 5 is going to be Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah from the 2021 Oscars. Man, Fred Hampton, you know, the leader of the Black Panthers, kind of one of the founding fathers of that organization that really led to the civil rights movement. It was a big part of that, and the racial injustice in America. I mean, of course, that still exists, but it was definitely rampant in the 1960s. And Fred Hampton is such a integral part in kind of getting us out of that shameful era in America. And Daniel Kaluuya plays that part so fiercely and so like proud to be in that role, and you can kind of get the sense from him in that aspect as an actor. But also he's just so powerful. This was one of those weird straight to like home streaming and then straight to the theater. It was a weird, what do they call it, day and date release thing. So it was a tough thing, but I was glad that Kaluuya got the honor that he got here because he's a phenomenal actor and he's been doing stuff his whole career that you're like, this is top tier shit. I mean, this guy's got to win an Oscar eventually, and he did, probably earlier than a lot of people expected, but it was a really good movie from Shaka King. Judas and the Black Messiah, a great historical biopic that Kaluuya really carries, with also a great supporting performance from Lakeith Stanfield as well. Speaking of Lakeith, they put both in the supporting actor category from the same movie. They didn't put a lead in there, which was a strange thing the year that it happened. But I think my vote would have to go to Paul Raci for The Sound of Metal. That was probably my favorite movie of the year that year. Aside from Promising Young Woman, they were pretty much tied. Almost like a father figure type of role and a mentorship, obviously. But it was so touching, so beautiful. And he was a character in the movie that you just believed that he would be the kind of guy to bring somebody back from whatever troubles they may be experiencing, which he was able to do with Ahmed's character. My number 4 is going to be RDJ, Robert Downey Jr. from 2023's Oppenheimer. Of course, this is from the 24 Oscars, and it racked up. Director, picture, Cillian Murphy. I mean, everything. A ton of technical awards. And it was the obvious win that year. When it came to Oscar predictions and being a pundit, it was funny that was my first year really doing it on my YouTube channel because it was so easy. And everybody was like, I mean, everybody knew that this movie was just untouchable in terms of awards. And when it comes to RDJ, because we didn't really know that, what I just said, until later in award season, because it came out in July. It was part of the whole Barbenheimer phenomenon in the summer of 2023. So when I left an early screening in July, when I saw this movie, an IMAX, and me and my buddy were walking out of the theater, and I told him, it was actually a couple friends of mine, and I told both of them, I said, Robert Downey Jr. has never turned in anything like that. And I'm even including like his turn in Chaplin, which he got nominated for, I believe in the 90s. So I knew that if there was anything for Oppenheimer and it was going to be embraced as an awards film, that RDJ was going to win, because that was easily the performance of his career, because he, even if it's not your favorite, because he did something in that role that he's never done before. He embodied a real person, and he made that person sympathetic and villainous, heroic and evil. And it was just a snapshot of this character, Louis Strauss, that we know about in the history books, but that he literally brought off of the pages to life. And a lot of the other characters did the exact same thing in Oppenheimer, including Murphy. I loved RDJ in this role, and I'm glad that he finally got his Oscar. And looking at the nominees for supporting actor in the year 2024 at the Oscars, RDJ would have also gotten my vote here if I had not known he was going back to the MCU. I would have penalized him and not voted for him had I known that. I'm just kidding. He was phenomenal in that movie. I loved Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. Just a weird turn for him. Also something we'd never seen from an actor. Ryan Gosling was hilarious in Barbie, and although he might be my favorite performance, he's just so good at comedy anyway. I've seen him be funny in multiple facets before, not saying that it wasn't a tough performance, but I think RDJ is the clear winner for Oppenheimer. And much like the Academy and how it was really easy for them that year, same here, it's Robert Downey Jr. My number 3 is going to be Ke Huy Quan from Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is from the 2023 Oscars, and this was such a moment, just a moment in Oscars history, much like Parasite a few years before, where the really unique auteur, artsy, independent, hipster kind of film that was kind of cool won at the Academy Awards. It is a rare thing. It's like one every 20 years or so where this like weird hipster movie comes along, and it's Film Twitter's movie, and it's also the Academy's movie. Those two don't line up hardly ever. Ke Huy Quan, the performance is what it is, which is also phenomenal. It's touching, it's endearing, it's funny, it's action-packed. He has all the kung fu scenes and stuff. It's a really cool performance and a cool movie. But even aside from that was him on the award circuit, and seeing him on the tour and winning awards and becoming emotional almost every single time. He has a whole speech on stage about Spielberg mentioning to him that he knew he was going to be big someday. I mean, and he was going to quit acting, but he came back because the Daniels approached him, and the story is just literally could not be beat from a narrative standpoint. So in looking at those nominees, it's a no-brainer for me that it would also be Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere. The only one that would come close for me that I would sit and think about for a few minutes would be Barry Keoghan for The Banshees of Inisherin. A really turned out performance from him too. And I also love Brendan Gleeson in that movie. That was one of my favorite movies of that year. And here's my other Mahershala Ali performance at my number 2, and that's Moonlight. Ali playing Juan in this movie, who is a father figure, a mentor, a big brother type, who the reason this ranks so highly for me is because it's got to be one of the most impactful performances with a minimal amount of screen time. He is not on camera. I should have looked the stat up, but he's not on camera maybe a fifth or a sixth of this movie. He's pretty prominent in the first half of the film, but that's basically it. And the way the film is told structurally from Barry Jenkins kind of aids in that process. But nonetheless, when he is on camera and when he is mentoring the young black in the film, it's truly breathtaking and heartbreaking and wholesome, and it's just memorable, man. It's just one of those performances that you can't forget, regardless that he's on screen 10 or 15 minutes. You just can't forget it. It is so good, and to me, it's the epitome of like a supporting performance, because you don't have to be prominent throughout the entire movie, and you don't have to be the lead damn character, because then you're doing category fraud, which of course the Oscars love to do lately. This is from the 2017 Oscars, my number 2, and I love Mahershala Ali, and I'm glad he won, but I gotta be honest with you guys, I would probably vote for Jeff Bridges here for Hell or High Water, as that, like, what was he, a Texas Ranger, I think, who was trying to hunt the bank robbers down. But he, talk about fitting a role perfectly. 10 out of 10 casting for Jeff Bridges in that movie. Whenever he would come on frame to investigate or whatever, I was just like transfixed by him. And I was just like, this guy knows what he's doing. He's going to solve this case. And you just felt that because of Bridges' performance. So he would get my vote, although I'm fully support and I'm well behind on Ali's win here. I thought it was phenomenal. And my number 1 supporting actor win of the last decade is going to go to the winner from the 2020 ceremony. That's from 2019's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm talking about Mr. Brad Pitt. So Brad Pitt, much like a Tom Cruise or even a Leonardo DiCaprio, who of course has an Oscar now, but throughout their career, you go, when are we going to give this guy something? Now, in fairness, I do not think that this is Brad Pitt's best performance. Hell, I don't even think this is his best performance in a Tarantino movie. I also talked about that on my top 25 of the last 25. I think his best performance, probably in his entire career, which I know is a bold statement, but definitely in a Tarantino film, is from Inglourious Basterds. However, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he harnesses the cool factor in this movie. He brings in elements from other characters from his career, in my opinion. Whether you're talking about early in his career with like Thelma and Louise, the sexy shirtless dude, right? He brings that in. He brings in elements from Inglourious Basterds that I just mentioned. And he has these different kind of amalgamations that he's kind of gathered throughout his career and put in his basket. And he is a very seasoned actor at this point. In this movie, he steals the show, in my opinion. And that's hard to do in a ensemble, illustrious cast in a Tarantino film. That's not even the lead. The lead is Leonardo DiCaprio, who also does a great job in this movie. But you've got Margot Robbie, and then you have the introduction of all these new young stars that, of course, we know now: Sydney Sweeney, Margaret Qualley, Mikey Madison, Emil Hirsch, etc. I love Brad Pitt as an actor, and I love his career. So much like the Academy probably did with this win, it's a career ranking for me, because I'm really kind of ranking Brad Pitt as an actor versus him in this movie. Even though I think he's the best performance in this film, the scene at the end when Mikey Madison and the rest of the Manson crew come to the house and him and his dog just kind of take care of business with a flamethrower and all that shit. I mean, it's perfect, And and he is cool and calm and collected, and you want to get to know him. You want to be his buddy. I'm sure the women probably want him. Hell, I kind of wanted him. This was a phenomenal year, too, at the Oscars. The 2020 ceremony right before COVID killed all of our hopes and dreams. I mean, I love this year at the Oscars and looking at all the categories because, of course, this was the Parasite year, too. But Brad Pitt won here for supporting actor, and you see the nominees that he was up against there. For me, it is a freaking no-brainer, far and away, Brad Pitt. He would also get my vote easily. I mean, Tom Hanks was good as Mr. Rogers. Anthony Hopkins was great, but I was glad he won for The Father as opposed to this. And then Pacino and Pesci are legends, and it would have kind of been cool for Pesci to win, see if he comes, be there and kind of return to acting. But Brad Pitt is easily my vote too, and I'm so glad he won. As you can see, he is my #1 supporting performance from the last decade. There you go, guys. So, like I said, I'm going to get back together with you for my next ranking, where I'm going to do the top 10 of the last decade animated feature winners. Let me know down below what you thought of this ranking for my supporting actors. Who would you have ranked at #1 if it was not Mr. Brad Pitt? Please let me know down below. And again, before you tell me I'm wrong, this is just my opinion. And if it's different than yours, then you can be right. That's fine with me. I will see you guys soon. Make sure you subscribe and don't forget to join the channel if you are into that for channel memberships, as you'll get all kinds of sweet perks and you can help me with my Oscar predictions in real time before they go live on the channel and on the website. So I would love for you to join us if you're into that. I'll see you guys next time in the garage.